Hey everyone, so in today's video, we are going to be doing something a little different. I wanted to put on a bunch of new makeup on my face with you all today, but within this video, I wanted to do a bunch of first impressions about new makeup. Face glue from NYX, we have new liquid shadows from Eldridge, new Cosmetics mascara, setting mist, the new matte concealer, the list goes on. There's a lot of new first impressions in this video. But I thought it would be fun to combine and do some speed reviews of new makeup that I have already been testing. I'm going to be applying and talking about the I Needed Warm palette from Natasha Denona, the new pink shade of the Kosas Cloud Set, new NARS lipstick. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoy it, and let's just begin. I'm really not going to waste any time here because I want to get these products on my face so bad. These are the face glue gripping primers from NYX. This year, they have been doing an absolutely incredible job with their launches. They came out with the Butter blushes and the bronzers. That bronzer is one of the best bronzers I've ever used, and the shade selection is incredible. And again, they are an affordable brand, so the fact that they're coming out with that kind of formula at that price point honestly just really makes me excited to see what they have coming in the pipeline. Now, I haven't tried out their new the Butter blushes yet, but just know that I definitely will be purchasing one to try. But I thought that today we would try out the new makeup gripping primer. So I think that the packaging, honestly, it's kind of kitschy. It honestly makes me a little bit I don't know. I'm looking at it I don't think I should be putting this on my face. But it's supposed to offer not only 24-hour hydration, but also an insane grip. So we're gonna use it today. It's a water glycerin-based product. So that is how it comes out. I don't think I need that much, and I probably won't put all of this on my face. But thus far, kind of just feels like a serum. And I think today is such a good day to try out this primer because I have such a sad, angry zit. It is so mad at me, and I want to see if this is going to irritate it, if my concealer is going to last on my skin as I apply concealer, over this blemish. And you know what? Actually, this is sinking in really nicely. And I'm finding myself wanting to apply all of it. And the grip is oh god, the grip is insane. Holy, holy crap. This might be the grippiest primer I've ever used. It does kind of feel like glue. It was so odd. It went onto the skin and felt very hydrating, like a serum. And now it's can you see this? I'm gonna try and get a good angle. Can you see this? However, if it makes the makeup last, especially, in the areas I need it, then I'm fine with it. But we'll have to see if my skin feels dry and weird when I apply foundation on top. And I also have the setting spray, so we'll use this pretty soon. So, the Easy Blur Foundation from Huda Beauty. I thought I was going to talk about it in today's video, but this product has gained a lot of traction, and there's been a really a larger conversation about what makes product luxury. A lot of people don't like the packaging. People are talking about the formula. So I'm going to do a standalone video on that, and I'm not sure which is going up first. So either way, make sure you're subscribed, especially if you want to hear my thoughts on this one, because I think I have a little bit of a controversial take. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to say right away about the face glue from NYX, is that it is really letting the true finish of the Huda Beauty Easy Blur shine through. This does have a little bit more of a natural to soft matte kind of finish. And I do think for some people this will start to warm up on the skin as you continue to wear it. But as a whole, I think that this is a really true finish. So this isn't going to necessarily mattify. It's not going to leave your skin very dewy. And I think that there are some people out there that are going to appreciate that about this primer. However, I will say it took a little bit longer to apply it. This has a little bit more slip to it. We'll definitely get into that in my standalone review. And this is gonna take a little bit more time. It's grippy. It doesn't want to slip and slide on the face. You know, it wants the makeup to stick where it's going. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not mad at it. So I have two different new concealers to talk about. I have the MAC Studio Radiance 24-Hour Luminous Lift Concealer, as well as the new Ciele Conceal and Protect SPF 30. Now, I will say, you know, for those of you that are new to my channel, first of all, I'm really happy to have you here if you've never watched any of my videos before, but I'm very picky with concealers, and it's not surprising to me that the Ciele is a little bit of a mixed bag. So I think today I want to apply both on my skin so that I can kind of compare and contrast. So let's first go ahead and apply the Ciele. So I have this one in the shade 04 Neutral, and you know, I think it could be a little bit lighter for my skin. Something I noticed immediately when I started testing this one out is how whipped and creamy it is. I haven't really used another concealer with this kind of whip to it in a while. It also is non-irritating around the eyes. You don't have to worry about that. You know, some people are worried about that with SPF in their products, but this has not freaked my skin out whatsoever. And my eyes are very sensitive when it comes to SPF near the eyes. Before I blend this out, I think I need some lip balm. It is crazy the way my lips immediately can sense the season change, and it's like, oh, we're drying out. If you haven't heard my spiel about the Clinique Moisture Surge though, I recently did a video on my like fall makeup must-haves, and this lip balm definitely in like the top 3 lip balms I've ever used. So let's go ahead and blend out the Ciele. You can see like there's definitely a decent amount of coverage to this. And I have found that it does a really nice job of staying in place. And I think for those of you that prefer a thicker texture, or if you tend to like kind of potted cream correctors or concealers, I have a good feeling about this. I think you're going to really like it. And I actually really do like it for my face as well. It just doesn't conceal that hollow quite as much as I would like it to. You know, my eyes are obviously more deep set. I've talked about that a lot. And it just doesn't quite conceal the hollow as much as I would like. Everything else I think is really pretty. I like that the texture is thicker, but not overly drying. I like that it's not overly luminous. I feel like some of you out there will really appreciate this kind of formula. It is very pigmented. And let me show you, because you know, that spot is still kind of peeking out. I'll take a little bit on my sponge. You know, it pretty easily covered it. It is hefty in the coverage without it looking hefty on the skin. So that's where I give this one a lot of credit. I think if you don't have very deep set eyes, I would immediately recommend it. It does crease pretty readily, and yet when I take powder to it, it reacts really well. So the only thing I would change is the way it looks in the hollowest hollow of my eye. But everything else I really like. It's very flexible, high coverage. I almost feel like it's a thicker version of like the House Labs, and I think some people might really like that about this one. Because you know, a lot of concealers go really thin nowadays. Like there are some brands that do the thick concealer thing, but like everyone else kind of leans into like the serum-y thin concealer thing. But let's see where the MAC Studio Radiance lies. So this is the 24-Hour Luminous Lift Concealer, and I picked up the shade NC 14.5. It does have like kind of this curved doe foot applicator. That's the shade for you guys, by the way. And I just realized like this doe foot really does not pick up any product at all, which is kind of annoying. Okay, it did actually a little bit better that time, but on my hand I was like, where is the product? Not the best shade, not the worst. I can definitely handle a little bit more warmth directly under the eyes, but all over my face it can look a little bit odd because my face is more neutral. But let's, let's wait, and then I'll go ahead and blend this out. I really don't know what to expect with the coverage. No real smell that I'm detecting. Texture feels like a very luminous kind of, again, thinner texture, one of those very thin, hydrating, dewy concealers. But again, I always like to let my concealer sit exactly where I want the most coverage and then blend it out. So we're gonna wait. And while we're doing that, I'm admittedly not sure if this alien goddess from Mugler is, if it is new or if it's just PR. But let's do a first impression of it. I can kind of smell it already from outside of the box. I think the packaging's kind of cool, honestly. Coconut, jasmine, floral, and very, very intense. Like, I would be afraid to put that one on my skin immediately. So something I haven't talked about, I'll talk about this while I'm blending this out. I have such a sensitive nose, and a lot of fragrances immediately make me get such a bad headache, and I feel like that might be one, unfortunately. I don't know what to do about that. That kind of sucks. Especially because I like the coconut and jasmine, but then the floral comes in and then it's like, bam. Okay, very interesting. So this is actually, I love that we're doing this. I love that we have two different concealers on both sides of my eyes so that you guys can really get a better tell of what I like. I'm gonna tell you guys right now immediately. Actually, let me try and see if I can build up the coverage a little bit right here. When you're adding and building coverage, you want to stop blending the minute that you see it all go seamless. You don't need to overblend. You will overblend your foundation coverage or your concealer coverage. So we got to talk about what's going on around my nose right now, because it is not good. But before we do that, let's talk about the concealer. We'll do one thing at a time. I will bring you a little bit closer. So something that I am noticing pretty immediately about this concealer, the under eye in general, versus this one, is that this is why radiance doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a more hydrated look. I actually think, and I would love to hear your thoughts down below, I know some people won't agree. I think that this eye in general looks more cohesive. It looks brighter. It looks more natural than this one. And the reason being is that the way the light is reflecting on that hollow actually makes it more exaggerated. And you can definitely see down here when I turn my head the way the hollow kind of is reflected back in the luminosity of this concealer. There isn't a ton of coverage. I found that it's very wet and thin, and for me personally, I can immediately say I don't think that this is one that I would want to reach for. It's because of the consistency, how thin it is and how dewy and hydrating without the backbone of coverage ends up just falling flat for me. And it has consistently for years. However, this side, even though the dark circle isn't completely concealed, and even though we still see the hollow, do you see how this somehow still looks more natural than this? I mean, maybe you guys feel free to tell me. It is obviously an aesthetic kind of preference, but I think that the way this concealer is kind of sitting on the skin is just not quite as natural as this side. And even when I go to tap it out and blend it, the coverage kind of immediately leaves. And that's not what I like for under my eyes, just because I do like a little bit more significant coverage. And let me show you guys. You can build up the Ciele. So I've gone into just this little area. And that's why I kind of mentioned if you're someone that likes that kind of color corrector vibe from your concealer, you can get this. you can get that from this product. And so I just take it and I apply it right there. And do you see how, again, I can build up that coverage and I immediately got more. So yeah, I don't think the Ciele is like a holy grail, but I do think that there's something really special happening with the formula, especially for people that need coverage and need pigment. This just really isn't doing it for me. But now that we have that out of the way, I gotta bring you back in. What is going on with my nose? This, like, this whole area looks awful. It really does not, it is not up to snuff. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. We'll give you this little spoiler about the Huda Beauty foundation. Pretty consistently not looked great around my nose. And that's not the whole story of the foundation, but I will tell you, I don't think it's ever looked this bad around my nose. So what that does tell me is that this is going to jump out of my hands, is that this is not the very, very hydrating product that NYX might say it's going to be. So that is something to keep in mind. That is exactly kind of the vibe that I was getting when I was applying it is, you know, it feels really hydrating great, but then when it goes down to that kind of very, very grippy finish, it isn't going to be the most moisturizing product out there. And honestly, I think that the Huda Beauty needs a little moisture. But let's go ahead and get some bronzer on the skin. So this is the one from Saie. It's the Dew Bronze in the shade Salt. And I'm going ahead with this one because I have the new Lumi liquid blush from L'Oreal that I want to try out. This one released, I think, a couple of months ago, and I wanted to pick it up for you guys. I've just seen incredible swatches of it. And this shade in particular just looked really beautiful. Speaking of a nice shade, I really like this shade Salt from Saie because it does add this really pretty sculpt and it is more neutral to cool. And I'm just finding as of late that, you know, moving into fall, it's kind of nice for me to have something that leans more neutral as far as my bronzer goes. Also, I know that this bronzer is going to add a touch of moisture to my skin, and I think that this, not to like give away too much, but again, I think that this makeup is going to need it. And I'm gonna take it onto my nose a little bit as well. Like, do you see? I just really love it. And this summer, I have been reaching for it a ton. And now I realize that it's not summer anymore. It has passed. You know how fall basically starts in August? Well, now it's September and it's officially fall, and I feel like people are already like it's Christmas. Okay, bronzer is on the skin, and we're gonna go ahead and with the L'Oreal. So this is again the Lumi Le Liquid blush, and I got the shade 601 Dewy Worth It. And I'm pretty excited about it. That's the shade right there. I don't really know what to expect with the pigment. I haven't done that in a while. Oh, whoa, this spreads. And I also realized I need to set the under eye as well. All right, I'm gonna blend this with a sponge because I need to take off some of this pigment. But I do think I like the way it's blending over here with the brush more. So take with that what you will. By the way, I've just been loving this Hourglass brush because let me give you the scoop on it. It's dual-ended. I am like such a dual-ended brush lover. I'm someone that likes to pack like one brush and a travel makeup bag. I just love the convenience of a dual-ended brush. And this one has a beautiful fluffy brush over here that isn't too big, so you can use it for blush and bronzer. And it also applies blush, bronzer, and foundation beautifully. It really performs in the whole gambit. And that I really appreciate. You know, I think we all do. Some of us don't want a specific blush bronzer and foundation brush. We just want something that can really do it all, and this definitely does. However, on the other side, you also have this tapered small setting brush, so you can set your face and not mix the potentially cream situation with the powder, which I've also used this for powder and it looks amazing, but it's just been a game changer for me. I really, really like it. Like, always applies everything super beautifully. Do you think I'm gonna kind of take off some of the excess of the blush again though? And then, so as far as this blush, I'm not sure how it's going to wear. Obviously, like with all of these products, there are some that I know how they wear, some I don't. If this wears beautifully, we have a really freaking incredible formula on our hands. I'm gonna say right away, like, look at this. Look at my skin. The concealer, the bronzer, the blush, the way everything is melting in. And again, we're gonna ignore the nose. We'll get into that in another video. But the quality of my skin looks really, really good. This blush, I am very, very happy that I picked it up. And I picked up this shade in particular because not all the shades are matte. And this one is, again, it's a luminous product. It has a dew to it, but there's no shimmer in it, which I sometimes really don't like. And it looks very, very good. I'm really, really, really excited about this one. The color is stunning. Let me just give you, I'll just go ahead and give you like a swatch just of the color alone. That is beautiful. It's just a really classic peony pink. It's going to look good on so many different people. What a crowd pleaser as far as the shade, and the formula just is excellent. I love that it's more pigmented because you can use less, but also, I mean, you guys saw how it went. I applied too much, but like that is probably the most happy I've been with a first impression with a blush since I did like my big red blush roundup. I tried out so many blushes for that video that I like took a break and like let myself just like wear the blushes that I wanted to wear. And like, quite honestly, I'm so into this. Let's go ahead and now set the concealer under my eyes with the new Kosas Cloud Set in the shade Candy. My condensed review of this is wow. Wow. I already really enjoyed the Kosas Cloud Set, but the brightening pink shade is so beautiful. If you do appreciate a pink, the pink is not overly pink, which I think a lot of brands it's so pink that it can look very weird sometimes. They also have a peach shade, which I think is really nice. I haven't used the peach shade. I don't think it's necessarily what would look best on me, but this powder, incredibly, incredibly fine. Like you can see when I tap it off, very, very fine powder. It looks barely there on the skin. No dryness, immediate blur to the pores. I've been finding myself just putting it in the entire T-zone, and I'm getting like just such a polished look. And I talked about this pretty recently, but I've been really enjoying more of a pinpoint powder, and this powder makes it really easy to love. You know, there are so many powders that just look so dry, and they offer a brightening effect, but it can almost backfire when it looks too brightened under the eyes. You know, that kind of reverse raccoon eye effect that a lot of powders can exhibit. Yeah, it is unfortunate, and it is something that I notice with a lot of brightening powders. This one does not do that whatsoever. And I just love that immediate blur that it gives my skin. It's just such a good one. So lightweight and great for those of you with dry skin. Now, I did notice something, and I think it's unfortunate, but it's still not a deal breaker for me, is that I am noticing that a sponge is not the way to apply this L'Oreal blush. And I'm not sure, again, if that's because of this foundation, which is very slippy, and a slippy product doesn't always get along with other ones, but I am noticing it like right there, not wanting to play well. And that that would make sense to me because we added water. Like this is a sponge that's damp. And when messing with a product with a lot of silicone, sometimes that can happen. But so again, I'm not really sure what exactly is the culprit, but I thought I would mention that because this looks freaking fantastic. And this, I noticed like one spot where it was not picking up, and now that I've corrected it, it looks great. But maybe this is not the best duo, or maybe this is not always ideal, or maybe it's a combination of all three. We are finally getting into the eyes. I have a lot of new eye products to potentially try, but I think what I want to do today is put on I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona, as well as the new Liquid Silks from Lisa Eldridge. I do also have the Ma Beauty Cream Clay eyeshadows. I have some of the new shades that Shelby Wilson developed, and I really want to try these out, but I've been getting a lot of comments about these, and I really want to let these shimmers shine on my eyes today. So here it is. You guys have just been really wanting my thoughts on this, and we will get there in one moment. You know, it's interesting. I'm doing kind of a mix of final reviews in this video as well as first impressions. The Lisa Eldridge is definitely going to be a first impression. I have not used it yet, but this palette is something, this is going to be something between a first and a final review. And I think it's just because of the nature of the palette, and we'll get into that. But let's first dig into these liquid eyeshadows from Lisa Eldridge. So we have got the shade Phoebe. This is exactly what I was hoping this shade would be. Oh, I love like a more mustardy beige color like this. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm honestly kind of over the moon about that shade. I hope that this formula is as silky as they claim. And then this is the shade Irene. By the way, I think this is plastic, just so you guys know. Shade Irene. Again, way more pink to that one. That's also really beautiful though. If I just got one of these, I would be happy. But the fact that we get both, kind of insane. Just gonna throw that out there. Kind of insane. And then we finally have the shade Gaia. At least I think that's what it's called. And this shade is so beautiful. And I do like have some sort of inclination to just want to put this all over my eyes and do like a smoky eye and be done with it today. But I don't think I want to do that because we have the entire I Need a Warm. I'm going to keep saying I need a neutral on accident. I Need a Warm palette. But yeah, so those are the three shades. Phoebe, Irene, and Gaia right there. I think let's go ahead and with Phoebe. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm very excited about Phoebe. And it did feel pretty pigmented, and I'm just gonna kind of sweep this all over the lid as like a base. I'm gonna keep this part of the lid a little bit more bare, like the inner part. The outer edge I can definitely blend that in, but you see how I let that sit for a second? Like a solid 20 seconds, and this is still very silky and easy to apply. And I love the original liquid shadows from Lisa Eldridge. I think they're beautiful. This formula is very blurring, and it is one of those things, you know, there are more and more brands coming out with matte liquid shadows that are actually good for a really long time, especially if you guys are longtime viewers of my channel. I have tried out so many matte liquid shadows that are so bad that I kind of sometimes forget that a lot of brands have been really stepping up their formula, and this oozes luxury. It just made my green eyes pop so much too. So I'm just gonna tell you, the performance, the look of my skin, the quality of my eyelids look so smooth. I just want to say this. I don't remember the last time that I was this confident in the way the quality of my eyelids looked, like the actual quality of my skin. It looks so blurred and incredibly silky. Freaked out right now at how much I like that. Because I don't, a good matte shadow I think is very exciting because it can be the backbone of an entire look. And I think that truly it ends up being a workhorse product in a makeup bag, improving the way my skin looks. And it's becoming the entire look because of that. Here we have my speed review of the I Need a Nude. I need a warm. The Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. First of all, you have a great mix, in my opinion, of warm shades that aren't obnoxiously warm. If you're looking for a very saturated, super orange based palette, I don't think that you're going to get that from this one. But if you're looking for what I consider to be 2024 warm, I think that you will get that with this palette. And I think that because the market was so saturated with warm palettes, like obnoxious, again, like, and not obnoxious, I should probably say like just very obviously warm, because the market was so saturated with those for so long in like 2015. I think this feels like a nice warm but not insanely warm palette. Like for example, Fervor, show you guys this one. This is just so obviously warm, but it has restraint. And I think that Natasha Denona was smart in going this route. Another shade I really, really enjoy is the shade Push. I think those of you that really enjoy these more decidedly warm shades and they really suit you, like I can see a lot of folks with brown eyes, just this palette singing on them. It's a very, very pretty shade. However, on me, it's not necessarily my favorite on me, but I still feel myself gravitating towards it or really enjoying how beautiful it looks. Shade Homey, probably surprise to no one, ends up being the one that I'm reaching for the most. And it's because that one just is less warm. Shade Dianism is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I would wear that all over the eyes and call it a day. And it does have those more golden, pearly sparkles to it. Smug is another shade that I think will be a fan favorite. You can see it's incredibly reflective and it is a little bit more sheer. So you're able to get a little bit more of a wet kind of twinkling effect. That ends up being something that I want to wear more, honestly. The mattes in here are stunning. They're fantastic. And however, there is something that Natasha Denona tends to do, and this is just a personal gripe that I have with a lot of the palettes, are the satin shades are just so boring to me. I've never understood them. So like this shade Elm, let me show you guys. These are just not my kinds of shades. Like, yeah, that, it looks reflective. There's a smoothness to it, but on the eyes itself, it just tends to look flat to me. I mean, if you check out some of my like eyeshadow declutters, you will know that I'm not someone that likes just a satin, something between a satin and a metallic. Like there's no glitters in here to really make the eye twinkle or make it look wet, so it just ends up being a gold, like a gold champagne which is so boring to me. But again, some people I know really like that. For me, it's just way more boring. But the shade Fancy is like the same thing except more pink. So I don't know. I tend to like I'm gonna tend to like this a little bit more, but even then it's just it doesn't feel inspiring as far as the formula goes, and that to me is not necessarily a gripe just with this palette. I've had that gripe with the I Need a Nude palette as well. Like I think the satin shades are like kind of they end up being throwaway shades for me. The shade Phenomenon, I'm sorry, I'm never gonna wear that. That doesn't mean it's not beautiful. It's no me, I'm never gonna use it. The shade Hanker, I don't think I've even dove into, which is kind of bizarre that I just realized that I haven't played with this one. Buckle up, but oh my god, wait, why haven't I used that shade yet? Now I feel like whoa, whoa, whoa. We're gonna go ahead and do that now because somehow I did not test this one. So this is the shade Hanker going on to the outer corners. But yeah, all of it, this is to say that I have really enjoyed the quality of the eyeshadows. I think the shades are pretty, but they're just, you know, this is more of a personal preference thing. I think that because I already have the I Need a Nude palette, that just it is one that I'm going to feel more inspired by just because of the color selection and because the formulas, the sparkles, there's more of that wet sparkle formula in that palette than there is in this one. This does have it a couple of times. Like again, Dianism has a little bit of that wet sparkle, Homey does, Snug also does, but you have to sheer them out a little bit more because they have more base pigment. They're not quite as translucent. I've found that the sparkles and the metallics in here just have in general way more base pigment than the I Need a Nude palette. And you know, when you're dealing with like a nude concept, you kind of want that translucent feel to it. So it makes sense to me why that palette had it. I do want to go ahead and say though that I really, really love that shade. That's a really beautiful shade. And I think I'm gonna take Dianism. Also, I've been wearing this over on Instagram and you guys really like the looks that I've been wearing. So I don't think that that's a coincidence. By the way, this is blending really well over the Lisa Eldridge shadow. But yeah, just gonna blend those edges a touch, and then I might do a matte just so you guys can see the mattes. I mean, I have like such an incredible base with that Lisa Eldridge, but I will show you. I think let's go ahead and with the shade Ripe. It's kind of like this slightly peachier shade, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what these can do. The pigment's great. Super blendable. I mean, it's very classic Natasha Denona. I don't think that she strayed really at all with it. I'm going to take a little bit of this beige shade Mellow, which I really like just to kind of add to the outer corners and get a little bit of like a more like smudgy diffused effect out there. And then I go back and add some other colors usually, or that's what I've been doing. Yeah, I mean, the quality is there. It's not, and it definitely isn't going to replace the I Need a Nude palette. If you're like between the two and you're someone that tends to prefer translucent, like wet looking sparkles with mattes to accompany it, I would immediately guide you towards that one. To me, the only misstep I think is making these metallics and sparkles as pigmented as they are. I think this would have just been slightly more modern had she sheared out the bases a touch more. But other than that, I mean, the quality is fantastic. They look really sparkly on the eyes. I don't have really any issues with it. It just comes down to a personal preference thing for me. The eye looks are pretty, but I do think that I prefer the eye looks that I've come up with the I Need a Nude palette more. And whenever I try and pinpoint why, by the way, I'm using Pep and Vim to do a little bit of a soft wing out here. Whenever I try and pin down why it always goes back to the wet shimmers because I'm so picky with them. and I really wanted to see more of those in this palette. I think that that is kind of like where my expectations got let down a little bit, or where I was in general let down. And by the way, I wouldn't automatically assume that there would be wet sparkles in here had this not been in lineage with the I Need a Nude palette. But you know, it is. It's called I Need a Warm. And maybe those sparkles were only in that palette because, again, it is like going off the vibe of it being a nude kind of eye look. Nude as in like less, like actually can see the skin more. But anyway, should we try out the new Cosmetics Shapeshift Tubing Mascara? I'm really, really excited to see how this goes on the eyes. I also have the Equimall eyelash curler that they included. I love that they included an eyelash curler because it kind of gives me correct like expectations. Like they are expecting you to curl your eyelashes with this mascara. And I already do all the time, so it's not, you know, not like truly an extra step or a big ask. But this is, yeah, this is Cosmetics new tubing mascara. Just going to curl them. Curler is doing a pretty good job. It does feel pretty similar to like the Refi one. Does feel pretty similar to that one. It is a little bit like less glidey. Like my Kevin Aquan or my Shiseido feels more glidey. And I do find myself like, I don't know, this one feels a little bit more uncomfortable. Really did a good job with the lift. Now let's go ahead with the mascara. So it's a nice weighted kind of packaging, not plastic. I mean, or maybe it's plastic, but it's like feels really cool to the touch, like metal, so maybe it is metal. But let's go ahead. Actually, let me show you the wand first. So it is very straight, but there is a touch of an hourglass thing going on there. A little bit of a curve, but still relatively straight. That looks pretty. And I'm still building it up. That looks really pretty. I did smudge a little bit on the lid. This is what it's looking like. I mean, I think it looks really good. I don't think it has like the most absurd amount of curl to the lashes as like I like. Like I kind of like an absurd like lashes all the way up kind of look. I really like that wide awake effect. But this does look really pretty. It's a tubing mascara, and I have had mixed results with tubing mascaras. Sometimes I just feel like they droop my eyelashes a little bit, and I'm not noticing them droop, but I notice that they're not as high as I really like. So take with that what you will. Otherwise, I think it's certainly pretty, and it definitely pulled together the eye look a bit. All right, brows have been set into place. I think I want to go ahead and get some product on my lips. We're going to do the kind of like review and first impression all in one. I have not yet tried the Saie 101 liners yet, so I thought we could try one together today. I'm trying to figure out which one. They have a mix of more kind of like pinky shades, but I want to see what one goes best with my lip. So let me show you what I want to wear. It's this bad boy. It is the NARS Dirty Talk lipstick, and it is beautiful. And this formula is really, really cool, so I'll talk about it in a second, but let me give you a swatch so you can see, like, that is the kind of lip that I want to wear. Maybe we'll go with something that can deepen it up just a touch, just because the eyes are quite intense. Let's see the shade Flirt. That, I think, could potentially do it. So let's go ahead. By the way, can I just call it out again? This lip balm is truly life-changing. I will like slather on Laneige lip sleeping mask at the beginning of my routine, and by the end, my lips are still not happy. This has just, it's completely changed the game for me. I'm like not used to applying a lip product and like not have a bunch of cracks having to go over. I mean, I think that looks really good. It applied very evenly, and it does have a bit of a grip to it, which I really like. Because some lip liners are so lipstick-like that they kind of like slip over the lips. I need something that I can get more precision with. And this does that for me. It really does. I'm very happy with that so far, but I think I want to go ahead and get this on my lips. So this is the shade Dirty Talk from NARS. Let me just show it to you first. Is that not insane? This formula feels like a mix between the like NARS Audacious lipsticks, that kind of like very creamy texture, with the sheer lipsticks that NARS recently discontinued. Now, those lipsticks were some of my favorite in my collection, and I will be like holding on to those for dear life. I still think they're absolutely beautiful. These are a little bit more pigmented than the OG sheer lipstick formula from NARS. This formula does feel more innovative. It does feel more luxurious. It does have like a sheerness to it. So obviously, I'll give you another swatch here. That looks pretty pigmented, but it shears out very easily on the lips, and it has this really nice grip that the sheer lipsticks also had. They didn't want to like slip right off the lips, and that's something I did not like about the NARS Audacious lipsticks. I also didn't like that those were so like insanely creamy thick on the lips, so much so that like it would immediately give you the butthole lip. And they were also like very milky white base pigment. Okay, all that aside, this has the kind of luxurious feel when it goes on the lips, the way the NARS Audacious applied. Like it was a good feel. This has something closer to that with the more sheer pigment of the NARS sheer lipsticks. The shades are incredible. I love this shade Dirty Talk. I think it's perfect for fall because it can, again, you can just add this into the middle of any look and kind of get this really pretty like autumnal coral like kind of vibe. Like it really brightens up a warm look like this. And you know what? Kaja had sent me all of these Juicy Glass lip oils that I wanted to try, but honestly, I don't want to even mess with this finish. I think that the lip looks so good in combination with everything, so I don't think I'm going to use those today, but let me know if you guys want to see me try those out. Now let's go ahead and try the face glue setting spray from NYX. This, I don't know. I mean, I do like the way that the base is looking, other than around my nose, but let's just see, like, I wonder, it is alcohol based, so it should actually give some more wear. Wait, why does this actually smell like glue? Yeah, I mean, the mist is fine enough. It does feel pretty wet. Like a lot of product comes out at once, but not in like an obnoxious way. You don't get a lot. This is only 2.03 fluid ounces, so that's like kind of annoying. Same thing with this is only like 1.18 or 1.18 ounces of product, so not like you're not getting a ton with these, but if they perform well, then I'm definitely still open to it. And that was everything, you guys. This is all of the new makeup that I have in my realm that I have been testing. I thought it was really fun to talk about a lot of new makeup like that I've already been trying and then adding in some first impressions. Let me know if you guys liked that, if you didn't, all of your thoughts. But I kind of thought it was fun. But overall, thank you guys just so much for being here. I will see you all in my next one.